Hi there, this is Datila, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Monday, October 23rd, 2023, and tonight we'll be talking about Monday Night Raw. Okay, so let's talk about Jey Uso versus Damian Priest. This was tonight's main event, and I didn't think it was a bad match, but I feel like it followed the same Judgment Day formula. Damian Priest came out there by himself, but then later Finn Balor came out, caused a distraction, allowing Damian Priest to be victorious here. And there was a post-match assault on Jey Uso. Cody Rhodes came on. He took out Finn Balor and Damian Priest. He did so with one leg because earlier in the night, Damian Priest hit Cody Rhodes' ankle with like a steel chair. So like he supposedly had a hurt ankle. Yet he managed to take out rinse and repeat with Judgment Day. Exactly. Yet he managed to take out Judgment Day with half an ankle. What's up with that? But I thought it was a pretty decent main event, but it's just the same old, same old. I'm assuming all of this is leading up to War Games. It's probably going to be Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes, probably Jey Uso, maybe Sami Zayn. Bruh, Cody's inhuman. Yeah, I mean, he went out there, Judgment Day on replay. Yeah, definitely. He went out there and just like took out Finn Balor and Damian Priest with like half a leg. All right, so Judgment Day opened the show, and I felt like really they're gonna open. Like I thought this was gonna follow the same rinse and repeat formula. And cut a promo, someone interrupts, you set up the main event. It somewhat followed that because yes, they did cut a promo. Cody Rhodes interrupted and ironically asked how it feels to get interrupted, which I kind of thought that was funny because it was funny since he's always getting interrupted too. Basically, the whole gist of this is that it sets up Damian Priest versus Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. And during this is when Damian Priest, along with JD Madonna, attacked Cody's ankle, which is why he was limping. So, like I said, this is probably being used to set up War Games. I'm assuming we're going to get War Games. I don't think we're going to get the typical SmackDown versus Raw unless they do 2 War Games matches. They do your traditional War Games match, and then you do SmackDown versus Raw and War Games. I'll talk about that one when we get to that point, but I was not a huge fan of this opening segment. I mean, it escalated really quickly, but it's the same old, same old. Like, we gotta change it up a little bit here. We had the New Day versus Alpha Academy. This was actually a really good match. I really enjoyed this match. I mean, like, it's nice when they change things up a little bit. I think my 2 favorite spots in this match was when Chad Gable did 3 German suplexes to Xavier Woods, and when Xavier Woods did a reverse collar pitter to Chad Gable, or he tried to do a reverse collar pitter, but Chad Gable put him in the ankle lock. So I thought that was a pretty cool spot. But the New Day was victorious here. So I still am advocating, and I hope I'm not the only one, but I think it's about time we split up the tag titles. I said this last time, and I'll say it again. When Asuka was champion, she got a new title. Rhea Ripley got a new title. Seth Rollins was made a new title. Why can't we get new tag team titles? Split the tag titles up. Have the WWE tag titles on SmackDown and the World tag titles on Raw. Just like the old days. And they're problem solved. Because if not, there's like so much going on right now with Judgment Day. Those tag titles are going to be held hostage until this whole thing with Judgment Day is over. But nevertheless, really good match. We get a quick Becky Lynch interview where she's basically saying that she came to Dallas looking for a fight, and that Indi Hartwell never lost her title and never got the chance to regain her title. So, from my understanding, Indi Hartwell was women's NXT champion, but I think she had to relinquish the belt, right? Because she got injured. And then she got moved up to the main roster. Anybody that watches NXT, is that how it went down? We only need one tag team title. They need to merge the division. I disagree with that. I feel like there's enough teams on both sides that you can have two separate tag teams, but it's because this is what happens. You have one tag team, one set of tag titles, and there's a bunch of storylines going on. So we get a Seth Rollins segment, and the interesting thing of this segment was that he runs into Rhea Ripley. And let me see. Yeah, Indi never lost the title. She got injured and had to relinquish the title. And then what? She got moved up to the main roster? Okay. So basically, Rhea says that Seth Rollins needs an insurance policy. He says that because of his back. And Rollins questions Rhea, why would he want to be with them? Basically, she alludes to the fact that alliances can change and Damian Priest can cash in on someone else, specifically referring to Roman Reigns. And that without them, how would Rollins have a title reign? Rhea says that she can have Rollins' back and make people acknowledge him. But Seth Rollins tells her he doesn't want to be like Roman Reigns. And Rhea tells Rollins to think about it. Again, I think all of this Judgment Day recruiting, again, is leading up to War Games. So it's probably Judgment Day. All four members, maybe Damian Priest. Maybe Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. You would need two more people for them to take on Judgment Day. You get a quick Natalya segment. I don't know what this segment was for, but she basically says that if Indi needs any advice, she's there. At the NXT women's title match, it's Becky Lynch versus Indi, however, I didn't think it was a bad match. It seemed like the crowd wasn't into this. Becky Lynch wins by submission after she puts the disarm her to Indi. And at the end, Becky and Indi shake hands. So, Xia Li was watching backstage. Candice LeRae was watching backstage, and Xia Li attacked her. And she says that message was for her and a message for Indi. So we get an Adam Pearce segment. We actually get two Adam Pearce segments tonight. And it's him and Nick Aldis. They're basically talking about what happened on SmackDown, how Nick Aldis had Adam Pearce escorted out. The match was boring. Crowd wasn't into it. They weren't into it. And basically, he lets Nick Aldis stay, but he doesn't. He lets him stay. And Nick Aldis says he wants to have healthy competition between both brands. And later on in the night, Adam Pearce catches Nick Aldis talking to Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. And Nick Aldis says that he's leaving. Rhea Ripley was all over the show tonight. Yeah, she was. She was all over the show. She was just almost in everything tonight. With the women's world title contract signing, now you guys know contract signings, weddings, celebrations in wrestling always end in chaos, and this was no different. So, one by one, all the women come out and sign except for Rhea. Rhea Ripley comes out premature, and then she basically instigates a brawl. It breaks out, and everybody attacks each other. Meanwhile, Rhea Ripley is outside just laughing at the chaos that she caused. Yet it didn't occur to anybody to go outside and attack Rhea. This kind of reminds me, it just has nothing to do with wrestling, but this kind of reminds me of the scene in Mean Girls when Regina George is just standing there watching all the chaos unfold all around her after she tosses all the papers from the burn book. That's what that reminded me of. Rhea Ripley was just standing there watching all this brawl unfold, and she was even chanting fight, fight, fight. So somehow, some way, I think Rhea's gonna walk out of Crown Jewel with her title. I don't think any of these women are gonna take that title off of her. She's gonna find some way to be victorious. So a Bronson Reed segment backstage basically sets up a match with him and Akira Tozawa, and he seems to be wanting a round 2 with Gunter, which their match on Raw was freaking phenomenal. I wouldn't mind a part 2. We get Johnny Gargano versus Giovanni Vinci, which wasn't a bad match. Tommaso Ciampa came back and he attacked Ludwig Kaiser, who was on the outside. And Johnny Gargano was victorious here. So it seems like to be setting up a feud with DIY and half of Imperium. So I would be looking forward to that. So we get a Logan Paul promo. And he mentions his fight that he had this past weekend. The one where he called out Rey Mysterio. DIY is back. And Dominic Mysterio comes out, and they're basically talking about, like, Rey Mysterio here. And, like, Logan Paul ordered the crowd to show Dominic some respect. I'm pretty sure they pipe in that noise because that whole noise sounded exactly the same. They say that he needs to be humble. Now, this next part, I actually kind of like this next part of the segment. He called in Samantha Irvin. If you guys remember, they had the whole thing with Ricochet and stuff. He calls her his favorite ring announcer. And he asked Samantha to come into the ring and asked Samantha if he will give the people of Dallas a little preview of Crown Jewel. And of course, she doesn't want to. We had to suffer Friday with Logan Paul, and not tonight. I don't care one bit for this match with Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio. And so Ricochet attacks Logan Paul and Dominic. And next week, we're going to get Dominic versus Ricochet. So if you guys don't know, Samantha Irvin is Ricochet's fiance. So it seems like maybe they're going to revisit the feud between Logan Paul and Ricochet, especially after that. I don't think Ricochet is going to let that go easily. It wouldn't surprise me if Logan Paul defeats Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title, and then you have like Ricochet versus Logan Paul for that U.S. title. It wouldn't surprise me the least bit if that's where they go with this. We get Chelsea Green and Piper Nivens versus the random team of Natalya and Nikki Cross. And what is there to say about this? I don't want to see a rematch with Logan Paul and Ricochet. Who is asking for it? What is there to say about this? Chelsea Green and Piper Nivens are victorious. I like Chelsea Green. I'm really happy for her. She's still holding on to her tag titles. I just wish we got to see more from the women's tag team division. I still feel like it's not fully like, it's like sometimes they appear on the show, sometimes they don't. We need a feud. We need a concrete feud for these women's tag titles. They're basically just props. I mean, was this even a match for the titles? Nikki's face tonight was my face watching the show tonight. Yeah, that blank stare. So, like I said, I don't think this match was even for the titles. So, we had so many backstage segments tonight. It's crazy how many backstage segments we had. Like, after this match, we had Drew McIntyre approaching Jey, and he told him he couldn't possibly imagine how it feels to lose the title because of the bloodline, referring to how Drew McIntyre lost the opportunity to win the title at Clash at Castle. And, then you had The Miz talking to Adam Pearce. Rhea interrupted, and she signed the contract. She took Pearce's pen, and then she checked on Dominic. So many backstage segments. Some of them a little bit more necessary than others, but still. We had Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre, and if you guys know, Sami Zayn is on a quest to prove he is world champion material, especially since his partner Kevin Owens got sent over to SmackDown. And I honestly didn't really mind this match. I thought it was a pretty decent match. I think one of my favorite spots was when poor Sami Zayn got tossed over the announce table. And Rhea Ripley, she came out and she caused a distraction, which allowed Drew McIntyre to hit the Claymore to Sami Zayn. And so Drew McIntyre was victorious. And then, backstage, as he's walking, Seth Rollins claps. And he calls him, and Drew McIntyre calls Seth Rollins Mr. Paranoia, calling the kettle black. And they both say that they don't need Judgment Day. So it's very interesting that Rhea came out and helped Drew McIntyre, especially because, like, what, 2 weeks ago they were seen talking to each other in the back. So you have to look really closely. Even Seth Rollins pointed that out last week. So, like I said, maybe he'll be a part of Team Judgment Day if they do the War Games. And then we get Akira Tozawa versus Bronson Reed. This was an enhancement match. What more is there to talk about? Bronson Reed is victorious. I mean, that's all there is to say about that. So that's why I want to stop, because I already talked about Jey Uso versus Damian Priest. Overall, tonight's show, well, I had some good matches. I wasn't a huge fan of tonight's show. No, there was something different. It did not feel like. I feel like an overall, like, this was somewhat of a decent show. Damn, you give it a 1 out of 10? Awful, boring show. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I did like some stuff, but I disliked a lot of stuff that happened on here. Like, for instance, one of the things I disliked was Akira Tozawa versus Bronson Reed. Really? And there was a lot of backstage segments, so I don't know what was up all those backstage segments, but it is what it is. But all right, well, with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or listen to a video. And I should be seeing you guys Wednesday after Dynamite. Bye.